I just hit myself in the chin. Great. Hi everyone, it's Rebecca here, and today I'm bringing you some of my favourite reads of the year so far. So usually, I say usually, but in my head it means usually, I would try and do like a recent reads kind of video, sort of like a wrap-up style every sort of few books that I read. My reading has been so up and down this year that I just thought I would select a few books that I enjoyed from January to June, sort of like a mid-year wrap-up, but without the rubbish books. So, I have 4 new to me books this year. Look at my timeline. I have 4 books that I've read for the first time this year, and then I also have some things that I listened to on audiobook that were rereads for me. Just go right ahead and say that they're the Harry Potter books. I think I read 4, 5, 6 and 7. Yes, I read Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows through Audible with Stephen Fry's narration. I absolutely love those. Obviously I would. For me, it's right in the nostalgic feels. I'm still really attached to the characters. If you'd heard me speak about sort of when I was doing my rereads the first time round, you will know that through Audible I clicked onto so many different things that I hadn't even picked up the first time that I'd read them, or the second or the third or the fourth, or you know, however many times I've read them physically. This was my first experience of the latter books as an adult, and I have to say I absolutely adored them still. So now that that's out the way, we're just going to get straight into the 4 physical books that I've absolutely loved this year and will recommend you no end. I have a really itchy eye and it just won't stop itching and it's doing my head in. And the first one I have to show you is the 3rd in a series, so realistically I'm recommending you the series in general, and that is Cress, which is the 3rd book in the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. Now in Cress we follow the fairy tale retelling of Rapunzel, and we meet Rapunzel, or Cress in this instance, and we see her journey and how her story sort of intertwines with Cinder and Scarlet. So in this instalment, Cress is actually being held prisoner by Queen Levana and is made to do her bidding essentially, which means that she now has to go and hunt down Cinder, who, as we know from the first book, is essentially kind of sort of not in the best of situations. That's all I can really say. Their paths intertwine. It doesn't go as according to plan as people would like. Some people would like it to, but you know, that's always going to happen. I absolutely adored this. I lapped it up. Still love Scarlet, bless her little heart, and Wolf and Carswell Thorne, and just all of the characters. Loving them all so much. So much so that I actually went out and bought Winter, which is the 4th instalment, as well as Wires and Nerves, which is Eco's point of view as a graphic novel. I haven't picked up the novellas yet. Apparently I should be reading a novella at some point before I read Winter, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to read Winter. I don't care. Basically, I need to read Winter, but I absolutely adored this. I would highly recommend this series if you're looking for a fairy tale retelling with a sci-fi twist. That's done very, 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 very well. This next one is the next book after Cress that I read that I would highly recommend to absolutely everyone, and that is Aurora Rising by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. This is the first in the Aurora cycle, I believe. I really, really enjoyed this. As somebody who, and I've said it before and I will continue to say it again, as someone who did not enjoy Illuminae, I read this, absolutely loved it, and need the second one right now when it's only been out like a month. This is a proof copy, but I do have a final copy from Illumicrate with the stunning pink sprayed edges. So yeah, it's very rare that I will request an ARC, get an ARC for starters, get an ARC and absolutely adore said ARC, and then get the final copy. So if I hadn't have gotten the final copy and knew it was coming in Illumicrate, I would have went out and bought my own copy, because that's how much I love this book. So in Aurora Rising we follow Auri, I don't think I'm saying that right, Aurora basically, and we follow a team of cadets. The main cadet in all this is Ty. He is our sort of like leader, our main character, our main interest, other to Ori basically. He's our main male character in this book, and we follow him as he is training to essentially be like a space cadet captain. Even the right words? Probably not. He's essentially training to be someone very, very successful in space cadet school until it all goes tits up, essentially, is the nicest way to put it. Things go wrong. He hears a distress beacon when he's out on a practice fly that he shouldn't really be out on anyway, so he's allowed to go on this practice fly on the sly. Try and say that when you're drunk. He goes out on this practice fly and things go wrong when he's a distress beacon. He picks up this passenger off a ship that is supposed to be full of basically dead or sleeping humans or beings. We assume they're humans, they're probably not. He picks up Ori and he brings her back to base. Because of this, he has missed the big test that he was meant to be doing, that he was practicing for with this flight when he heard the distress call, which results in him not being able to pick the cadet group that he really wanted. He gets a band of misfits and they're trying to gel with each other. They're all kind of outcasts in their own way. They've all got their own problems. They come with a past, yada yada yada. And he then has to sort of essentially lead this team. This team of people that he hasn't really met before other than his twin sister and best friend. He hasn't really met these other people before, he doesn't know who they are, he just knows that they're a band of misfits. And then things kind of escalate to the point where essentially they kind of have to save the universe. Putting it easily, they have to kind of save the universe, and I absolutely loved watching this band of misfits gel together. I was really surprised at how much I actually enjoyed this, and I am so excited for book 2. I did cry. Let's be honest, I did cry. And because of this, it has kind of piqued my interest in Gemini a little bit. I have picked it up and put it down when I've been in shops and been like, shall I get it? Shall I not? And now it's just calling to me on the shelves. And I don't know if that's because of this, that I've grown a little bit more interested in the Illuminates files. But yeah, very good book, would highly recommend. This next one I have to show you, I actually started tabbing and then was just getting so into it that I just couldn't be bothered to tab. I didn't want to stop reading, and that is Scythe by Neil Shusterman, and this is the first in the Arc of the Scythe series. The second is Thunderhead, which I need in my life, and the third is being released this year, which is called The Toll. Those of you who do not know, Scythe follows this dystopian society where essentially there is no such thing as death, because death has been phased out, so disease has been phased out. So the only way you can die is being gleaned. I was going to say gleaned, there's no that about it, that is what happens. A group of trained individuals, shall we say, who are trained in the arc of being a scythe and trained in gleaning, so they have to hit a certain quota to make sure that the population isn't too overcrowded. So we follow two characters who are training to be a scythe under one scythe, Scythe Faraday, and these two apprentices, it's never been known for a scythe to take on two apprentices, and it's all going nice and well until at the end of the first conclave, which is like their sort of like semester essentially of training. At the end of their first semester of training, they get told, at the end of this, one of you will be a scythe and will have to glean the other. What the hell? So we follow our two characters as they are training to be scythes. There are twists and turns along the way, and I did not expect the main twist to happen in the first place. Never mind the one that happens later on towards the end of the book. So I would highly recommend this if you love dystopian societies. I myself love things like where, oh my god, the world's ended, or this has changed, making the society this different in this kind of way. That made no literary sense. But yeah, I love dystopian societies, I love utopian societies, so this is right up my alley. And if you like the Hunger Games, I would probably recommend this because it's got sort of similar kind of, well, not really similar vibes, but it's got that vibe of death. I don't know where I was going with that, but I really enjoyed this and would highly recommend it to anybody who loves a dystopian YA. And possibly even dystopian adult, because this is actually really good just in general. Last one I barely mentioned, to be fair. It has been on my Twitter feed a couple of times and on my Instagram, so if you have seen it, you will know what this is going to be. But this is the 4th installment in a detective series, and it is A Lethal White by Robert Galbraith. This is the 4th in the Cormoran Strike series. I read this on holiday, absolutely loved it. I'm somebody who will barely read 20 pages in a week usually, and I read a 770 page book in a week. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. So I can't really say much about sort of this series because there's a backstory that realistically you need to read the first 3 books to understand the full backstory. But as with all of the other books, there is a tiny little bit of a summary at the start. Not so much in this one. In the Silkworm and the what's the other one? There's the Cuckoo's Calling, the Silkworm, and something else. In the 2nd and 3rd book, So The Cuckoo's Calling is the first one, and in the second and third book there is sort of like a roundup of what's been going on between Cormoran Strike and his PA Robin, and the kind of like backstory, like the personal side of things is kind of round up a little bit better. But in this one we have a chunk of a book because so much more is happening personally as well as in the case that they're trying to solve. So in the fourth instalment, a young man comes up to Cormoran Strike's office in a complete panic and says nothing except they buried her in a well. They buried a little girl by a white horse. And he just keeps saying this, and then when Cormoran tries to find out more information, he does a runner. And we kind of are left with like, well, what the hell do we do with that information? There's nothing really to do with that information. So we follow Cormoran as he tracks the guy down, tracks his family down, kind of like does his investigative work. If you've read the first, the second or the third book, you will be able to pick this one up and no bother. I do think that if you haven't read the other three, this one you might struggle with ever so slightly just with the backstory. Again, it is fairly easily explained, it's fairly easy to pick up on, and yeah, I absolutely love this. This is written by, it's not written by Robert Galbraith, but if you don't know already, Robert Galbraith is a pseudonym for J.K. Rowling. She writes under this name for her crime novels, and they are not Harry Potter. That's all I have to say. They are very, very good. I would highly, highly recommend to everyone. So there we have it. Those are the books that I have read recently that I have absolutely loved. Funnily enough, these are all 5 stars. I would highly, highly recommend them all to you. If you haven't picked them up already, definitely do so. If you haven't picked up the bottom one or the top one at all as a series, I highly recommend the first ones of both. Top notch. Yes, have you read any of these? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to have a chat with you all, and I shall see you all soon for another video soon. I don't know what my eyebrows are doing, I can just see them in the viewfinder. Bye!